Hey everybody, welcome to Culinary Characters Unlocked. I'm David Page. On this episode, she and her siblings run a legendary Los Angeles restaurant. A James Beard Award winner, started by their parents, it's been called the best Oaxacan restaurant in America. Here's Bricia Lopez. Chef, how are you? Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Well, it's a pleasure. What's it like being the guardian of a legend?
The guardian of a legend. Explain, which legend do you speak of?
The legend of your restaurant. Jonathan Gold, the late food critic, said it was the finest Oaxacan restaurant in America.
It is.
It's a James Beard America's Classic Award winner. It's, according to everything I read, the hub of a Oaxacan community in Los Angeles. Your parents started it.
Yes.
Now it's up to you and your siblings.
Yes.
To keep it what it was, to move it forward. That's a lot of responsibility, isn't it?
It is. It is. I think it goes a little bit deeper than just my parents. Gosh, I was talking to somebody about this the other day. I think one of the questions that I get asked the most is, what does Guelaguetza mean? Like, what is the name? That's the name of my restaurant. The name of my restaurant is Guelaguetza. We're in Koreatown, and we specialize in food from Oaxaca, which is in the southern part of Mexico. And one of the questions I get asked the most is, what does the word mean? What does Guelaguetza mean? I mean, how do you even pronounce it, right? And Guelaguetza, it's a word in Zapoteco. And Guelaguetza means reciprocity. It means to create community. It means that without being there for one another, community cannot exist. The meaning is bigger than just one word. When my father opened the restaurant, he wanted to bring a little bit of him and his culture to the city. And that's where Guelaguetza was born. My parents retired about 15 years ago. So my siblings and I have been running the restaurant for 15 years. The restaurant is now over 30. We're going to be 32 this year. Or 33, maybe 32. When like restaurant years, you're basically ancient. A 30-plus-year-old restaurant, it's an entire beast of its own. You don't have the shiny, like new restaurant, best new thing, best new that, like that. You know, you don't really have that anymore. And you're just really relying on what you serve and the community that you've built. Generations of people have put trust in you. It's not like it's pressure, but it definitely is, for me, my North Star, what drives me and why we continue to do what we do. I think that every guest that you've had on the show, chefs, restaurant owners, operators, people in the industry, every single person will let you know that no one is in this industry for the money. No one is in this industry to make 10 cents on the dollar at best, right?
And that's generous.
And this day, yeah, if you're doing 10 cents on the dollar, you know, you got great processes in the back of the house. But I think people do it because it is a calling. You'd like to serve. You'd like to create community. You want a place to bring people together. In my core, as a Oaxaqueña, as who I am, it's my life. It's what I do. It's in my bones. It's in my blood. It's in my heart. It's in my soul. I could not imagine doing anything else. The responsibility, again, not only for my parents, but the city, the community, my community, the generations of children, Oaxaqueño children that have grown up in the city, understanding their culture through the food, understanding where they come from in our restaurant, building, shaping palettes of young Oaxaqueños in Los Angeles, Oaxaca Californianos. To think that, you know, a 5-year-old started eating tlayudas, chorizo, quesillo at my restaurant and now understands what that is as a 35, 37-year-old grown person who now brings their family and brings their own children. It's a beautiful thing to see because you're not only spreading great food, the best food, delicious. My food is really, really, really good. I eat it all the time. But it's just really spreading your culture and spreading appreciation for who you are and where you come from. And I think that's just what fulfills me and makes me want to become better every day. It's my North Star. It's just the responsibility I feel, not only as a Oaxaqueña, but also as an LA and as an Angelino, as an LA resident.
You mentioned Oaxaca is in the southern part of Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
Frankly, I don't think all that many Americans know it exists or know the cuisine.
Mm-hmm.
What is Oaxacan food?
Oaxaca is, again, geographically, we are all the way in the south of Mexico. For those who do not know a little bit of geography, Mexico is made up of several states. I believe it's made up of 32 states, but let me Google that because I don't know. I don't want a Mexico states number. I'm right. 32 states. Look at me. Yay.
Do you still live there part of the time?
I have a home in Oaxaca. My parents live in Oaxaca, but I spend most of my time here in Los Angeles, but I go there often.
So, being southernmost in Mexico, what is the cuisine built on?
So Oaxaca is all the way in the south. It's the coast. We're one state away from Central America, so we're really down there. Oaxaca is one of the most biodiverse states in the country. It has several microclimates. It's got, I think, over 500 municipalities, which just means very fragmented. There are areas of Oaxaca that were never conquered by the Spanish. There are indigenous cultures that have centuries deep roots. There are several species of chiles, of dried ingredients, of herbs. There are certain chiles that only grow in Oaxaca. One of them is chile de agua. We import that chile all the way from Oaxaca to LA to make our chiles rellenos. There are specific corn that's endemic to Oaxaca, very specific types of corn. Tomato was first discovered in Oaxaca. Vanilla comes from Oaxaca. Cacao comes from the southern region of Mexico. Some people might say it comes from Oaxaca. Some others say from different Chiapas. I just say these things for you to just give you a little backstory of the richness of just diversity that it has. You ask, what is the cuisine like? I would describe food from Oaxaca to have extreme depth of flavor and layer of flavor. One of the things that you're going to experience a lot when you go to Oaxaca is the introduction to new experiences in your palate. There's a lot of smoke, a lot of roast. Everything gets roasted. Everything gets roasted or smoked. That's why everyone loves our mezcal and everyone falsely calls it like a smoky tequila. It's not a smoky tequila. The agave used, it's roasted. Therefore, it has like a roasty, smoky flavor. Then you have our moles. Most of the ingredients in the mole, they're all roasted. So you have so many flavors just singing in your mouth all the time. Sweet, salty, chile, spice, and then the depths of smoke, the depths of everything from thyme, cumin to cinnamon, right? So you have so many layers, so many flavors that round things up. And then you get to things like ice cream. We have an ice cream that's called leche quemada. Ice cream is a huge thing in Oaxaca. We have this flavor of ice cream. One of the most popular flavors in Oaxaca is nieve de leche quemada, which is a milk that you actually literally almost burn to get that smoky flavor that then you turn into a beautiful ice cream, but has like the same texture as a sorbet in a sense, but the creamy texture of an ice cream. It's like come as a hybrid of both. So you have like a smoky ice cream, a smoky mole, a smoky mezcal. Every salsa that you have has been roasted. So there's a lot of smoke. There's a lot of just smells of deep chiles and spices. There's two herbs also that are very emblematic to Oaxaca. One of them being hierba santa, a teardrop-shaped leaf that has this almost like anise flavor. It's used in a lot of our moles, a lot of our soups, a lot of our caldos. Then you have avocado leaf is another ingredient very popular in Oaxaca from a specific type of avocado.
Literally the leaf from the tree.
Yeah, literally the leaf of the tree.
Used like banana leaves might be used in Hawaiian cooking?
No, the avocado trees are used for flavor enhancement. Almost like a bay leaf. It's our bay leaf. You would put it in stews. You would put it in barbacoa a lot. We use avocado leaves in barbacoa a lot. And beans. Beans and barbacoa.
Barbacoa done with what meat?
Different regions do different things. So if you are in Sachila, for example, you have beef, a specific type of it. They call it barbacoa de rollo. They roll it up. Then you get to other regions of Oaxaca where they use a lot of lamb. There is also goat. There's also, I think in Etla, you have barbacoa de cadera. And then you have barbacoa de pollo. You have barbacoa de chivo. The amount of barbacoa that we have in Oaxaca, it's beautiful.
Back in a moment. How is barbacoa done in Oaxaca? In the ground?
In the ground. Most of the barbacoas are in a barbacoa pit. My dad, in his little ranch that he has in Oaxaca, he has a barbacoa pit. So it's an actual hole where you put your tina, a huge casserole in a sense, where you put all your animal that has been marinated in different ways. Different places do it in different ways. Covered and then smoked underground anywhere from 5 to 8 hours, depending on many things.
Now, you were born
Yes.
in Oaxaca.
Yes, I was.
Tell me about growing up there.
Beautiful. It is, I think, what I dream of my kids' lives. And so sometimes I think about moving back just so my kids could just have this experience of living in a place where every day you eat whatever is grown around within, miles of your house. And you can go to the market and get everything that you have is fresh and delicious, from just a simple apple to nanches to guayabas to mangos, delismo, piñas, like just deliciousness everywhere.
Who did the cooking? Your mom?
Yes, mom always.
Dad was making making mezcal, right? That was his business?
My dad was making mezcal and my mom was making food. And every Sunday we would drive up to Mitla, which was about an hour away from the city where we moved. And we would visit my grandma. And I would spend a lot of my time in Mitla and in Tlacolula market, just experiencing the flavors, the smells of what living in Oaxaca is like.
How old were you when your parents brought you to the States?
10.
So you moved here at the age of 10.
Mm-hmm.
Life changed.
Life did change.
Your parents ended up in the restaurant business. How'd this happen?
It happened because just the need of trying to survive, the need of figuring out what you're going to do and how you're going to feed your family. When my dad migrated, he didn't really have a plan. He was a mezcal maker. He moved here with some mezcal, but he didn't really have much luck. Mezcal 30 years ago isn't what it is today. He faced a lot of challenges. But at the end of the day, I think when he started meeting his community, and that's again where Guelaguetza comes from, realized that that's exactly what he needed. He needed his community. So he started feeding his community. And my mother and me, I still remember going to Central de Abastos, to the market, buying tlayudas and chocolate and quesillo and chapulines and all the ingredients, putting them in a box, shipping them to Tijuana, my dad driving from LA to Tijuana and then crossing the border with his products and then going door to door selling Oaxacan products to the community. Eventually opened a small little restaurant and then he brought his family over and we off to the races. We started being restaurant people.
As a kid, were you involved in the biz?
Yes, all of us were. Yes, we had to. We're immigrant children. That's what you do. That's how you're raised. You got to get up and you got to go to work.
What were you doing? I mean, you were 10. You weren't cooking.
No, but we were cleaning. We were helping. We were washing dishes. We were drying up the cutlery. We were folding. We were in scullery. We were in everything. We were sitting people down. 10 years old. When you think of an American, I mean, my kid's 10. My son is 10. By the time I was 7, I was already running a mezcal shop with my dad in Oaxaca. You know, I just grew up a little bit different.
As a kid working in your parents' restaurant, you could end up thinking two different things. One, you could think, I love this. Two, you could think, I never want to work in a restaurant ever again in my life. What did you think?
From the time I was maybe like 15 to 20, actually from high school, I hated it. I hated it through my high school because those years were probably the most work stringent on my parents. The restaurant was growing. They already had a second location and it was all hands on deck. We never had a weekend off. I was never allowed to get sick. We never took vacations. Everything was the restaurant. The restaurant took over our entire life. We never even went anywhere else. It was home, school, restaurant. I didn't even go to prom. There were no after school activities. There were no games. There was no friends. There was nothing. It was, we get up. Sure, you can go to school, but when you get out, you got to come to work. And we had our schedules, we had our jobs, and everyone had to show up. And also, you work with your parents. My dad was a very, very tough, very, very, very tough man with very strict rules, not only at work, but also at home. So I think because of that, I just fought it as much as I could. Also, my personality. I think that it wasn't until my mid-20s when my parents retire that I had a shift and I realized this is bigger than anything I could think of. But at that point, my parents actually had run the business to a place where, my dad was over-leveraged. He grew a lot, like 5 years of extreme growth in different ways. My dad ended up having different businesses. And around that time was the huge recession in the United States. It was like about 07, 08. They lost everything. They had gotten to about 5 restaurants, started closing one by one by one by one by one. And then they lost their home.
Oh my gosh.
And we were only left with one restaurant, which is the restaurant that my students and I, quote unquote, saved. And they retired. And it was almost like starting from zero.
But why did you do that? You had hated the business. Why not just say, let's close it and walk away?
Because that's what family does, because that's how we were raised. This is our community. There was no way that I could have seen my family's legacy gone. No, absolutely. That's not how we do things in our community and our culture. We don't just discard anything, right? So parents retired, we took it over and we saved it. It was bigger than us. Again, it's not just a business. For us, it was more about this is our culture. This is my dad's legacy. And there's no way we're going to see it disappear. And we were able to save it.
So it was you, a sister, and your brother?
Yes, there's 4 siblings. There's 4 of us. Our younger sister is not involved in the business. My older sister is head of operations. My brother and I are also very involved, but we also have a couple other businesses.
And we'll be right back. When did you start cooking?
Forever, since I was in Mexico. We always have forever.
So was there a point of time where you were the main chef?
I think that the word chef, when it comes to my restaurant, is a very loose word. The term chef, personally, for me, has many different meanings. There's a classically trained chef, right? The chef that comes up in different restaurants, the chef that goes to school, the chef that studies. And then there's, una cocinera, a chef that you can call a chef too, that doesn't go to school, that doesn't work in different restaurants, but who has had experience in cooking.
And that's you.
Then that's my mom, me, a family, right? And I think anytime a classically trained restaurant chef comes to a restaurant and sees the way a restaurant runs, it's very different than a traditional kitchen that you would see in a movie.
How? No one's yelling, yes, chef, but beyond that.
For example, like family meal.
The meal for the staff.
Yeah, everyone has family meal. In my restaurant, we're all family and there's always a meal, but it's just us. It's different. I mean, right now I have a head chef at my restaurant, Rosario. She's our cocinera, our head cocinera. But ultimately, it's our family's recipes, my recipes. I've written 2 cookbooks. I mean, for a long time, obviously very insecure myself as well, because I know so many talented chefs who have come up classically trained. So obviously, like a chip on my shoulder because I was never classically trained and never worked in different stations. There's a garde manger, there's like the saute. There's so many different stations in the kitchen. We don't call our stations that, right? Because that's just, we're from Oaxaca. Like, we're just serving our food from our home. And my goal at our restaurant has always been to make people feel as if they were eating in our home. It was like your mom's best version of anything Oaxacan that you had. And that's my pride and joy.
Well, let's talk about some of your signature dishes. Obviously, you mentioned mole.
Mm-hmm.
You've got mole negro, mole rojo, mole... How many moles do you have?
We have 6. We have rojo, negro, coloradito, estofado, verde, and amarillo.
What's your favorite?
It depends, really. I love estofado so much. I think estofado is one of the moles that my mom made the most growing up because it's not as intense to make.
What's in it? What are the flavors?
It's a little more briny than the other moles.
I'm noticing from the menu, almond-based, raisins and olives. There's no chocolate.
I think another misconception that I've grown up listening to is that mole is quote-unquote a chocolate sauce, which is not. It's a beautifully complex sauce made of different ingredients from different parts of the world, primarily from indigenous America. And chocolate is one of the ingredients that it's used to balance the sweetness and the acidity.
In some of them.
Yes, in some of them.
And this was your mom's recipe.
Yes.
How long does it take to make?
Depends on how many people you're cooking for. If you're cooking for a party of 1,000, which is normal in Oaxaca, it would probably take you about 2 to 3 days. But if you're cooking for a family of 6, 4, 6 hours.
I'm looking at the menu. Let's go through some of it.
Yeah.
What are tlayudas?
Tlayudas are another emblematic dish to Oaxaca. What is the best way to describe a tlayuda? It's a food that you will find in the streets of Oaxaca, number one. But it's essentially, if you see it in Oaxaca, if you go to Oaxaca, they're served folded. So they almost look like a gigantic grilled quesadilla.
Gigantic being like pizza size, or?
It's about 12 to 13 inches in diameter. Like, it's folded in half. So it is like a pizza size. And a lot of people have called it a quote unquote Oaxacan pizza. If it's open face, it's round and 12 inches. That's the only commonality to a pizza.
Is there a topping? Obviously, there's got to be.
Yeah. So you have the tortilla, the bottom, it's the base layer. The tortilla, however, is a very specific tortilla. It is made with a very specific technique. You have to cook your corn a little bit different. And it's not a tostada, not a tortilla, somewhere in between.
And you're making those from scratch?
We're making those from scratch in Oaxaca, and they're being shipped to LA.
Oh, okay.
And then you layer them. The first layer is the fat, which is made out of pork, which is a concoction of a caramelization of pork belly that's been turned into a paste. So you layer the tortilla with that. You put it over open fire, grill, charcoal. Then the second layer is a bean paste, a black bean paste that's been cooked with avocado leaf. The third topping is some sort of cheese or cabbage. Then that gets folded in half and put over the charcoal grill. And it gets nice and toasty and crispy. And then when you serve it, on top of it, you can top it with any protein. We have the 3 main Oaxacan cuts, which is chorizo, cecina, tasajo. But then you have falda, costilla. You can top it with chapulines. You can use many, many different proteins.
We should, for the average American audience, explain what chapulines are.
Yeah, chapulines are the cleanest source of protein that exists in the world. Chapulines actually have higher protein than lots of animal byproducts. The cleanest and most sustainable way for you to receive protein, healthy. They're essentially a type of grasshopper that grows in certain regions of Oaxaca that gets collected and then pan-fried. We season it with like chiles, spices, acid, salt, and they cook beautifully. They become this almost like burst of umami flavor crunchy. They come in different sizes and they're delicious.
The average American would obviously go, ooh, it's an insect. Can you convince non-Oaxacans that it's good?
The only thing I can tell people when they tell me and they look at you like, oh, why you eat that? I'm like, do you like shrimp? They often say yes. And I often have to explain to them like what shrimp are, what shrimp eat, and like the amount of cholesterol that shrimp has and how bad shrimp is for their body. And although shrimp is great, listen, I love shrimp. I'm actually having shrimp for dinner tonight with my kids. So this is not knocking down shrimp. I just don't understand when someone tells me like, ew, how can you eat that? I'm like, how could you eat that? And all I can say it's the cleanest, most sustainable amount of protein that you could eat in the world. So if that's not enough to convince anyone, I don't really have, what else can I say?
Talking about protein, I caught an item on your menu, especial de carnes.
Oh, yes. Our especial de carnes.
What is that?
The plate that has we make all those cuts in-house. Our cecina, which is made out of pork loin. It's a super thin pork loin cut that's been marinated with guajillo peppers. Then you have chorizo, also pork, Oaxacan chorizo that is ground in-house, tied in like tripe, almost like little balls of chorizo that are tied together, almost like links, around chorizo links. And then we have tasajo, which is beef. Also like the cut that only exists in Oaxaca, and it's made out of beef. Typically, the rest of Mexico will call cecina beef. I think Oaxaca is probably the only one that cecina is made out of pork.
You do breakfast?
We do breakfast Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Yes.
What's a Oaxacan breakfast?
Chilaquiles made out of chiles guajillo chilaquiles, enfrijoladas.
What was that?
Enfrijoladas are these tortillas that are dipped in a bean sauce, almost like enchiladas, but think of them instead of like an enchilada sauce, you'd have a bean sauce.
I love the name of this one, huevos divorciados.
Yeah, huevos divorciados are 2 eggs separated by chilaquiles in the middle, and half of it is green and the other half of it is red.
In New Mexican cuisine, when they have red and green chilies, they call it Christmas.
Oh.
You make your own drinks. I'm noticing you make horchata?
Yes, we make our own horchata.
Explain for anyone who doesn't know what horchata is and how you make it.
Yeah, so horchata is a drink based out of rice. We soak rice overnight with cinnamon. Then we have a stone mill where we grind this rice and we almost come up with this, I guess, like rice milk in a sense, just because it's just water, rice, and cinnamon. We strain it with special cloths. Once the juice has come out, then we add a little bit of sugar, and that's all. That's just a horchata. That's a Oaxacan horchata. We top it with cantaloupe, pecans, and a little bit of prickly pear. Horchata's white, and then you have this red jarabe. It's red syrup. And then we have like this prickly pear syrup that sits on top.
What does prickly pear taste like?
It's very close to dragon fruit.
Another arcane ingredient. Beyond the food, how is the restaurant part of the community? You host things, you organize stuff. What do you do?
Well, I think that, yes, we're a restaurant, but like I said, Guelaguetza means to create community. I think part of our DNA is always just to gather, and absolutely, we have different events happening at all times. Just this week, we hosted an anti-ice supper club dinner where we had tlayudas and we had a fundraiser. We raised several $1,000s for our organization, fighting what's happening today, just injustices going on in the community and the immigrant community.
Let's divert to that for just a minute and then come back. At the James Beard Awards, almost every winner spoke of the threat to immigrants who play a major role in the restaurant world and obviously form major communities all across the country. How is this impacting your life?
I think probably the question is, how is this not impacting my life?
Okay.
Yeah, it's impacting my life in every way possible.
Is there any way that you can be hopeful, or is this just a terrible time?
Both. I think that we all have to be hopeful. I think that our responsibility is to show up like we always do. I think the restaurant industry always shows up for the immigrant community. They always have for decades, for years since the beginning. But yeah, it's a horrible time. I'm hopeful when I have calls with friends. I'm hopeful when I meet organizations that are doing incredible work on the field. I'm hopeful when I see people organizing. I'm hopeful when my team shows up to work every day, happy, ready to go, and just wanting to help other people. But that does not mean that I can turn a blind eye onto what's going on and how horrible the world that we live in is today, especially in this country. And just a little bit of shame on what's going on, especially when you are literally killing the hands that feed you and that feed this country. So it's pretty sad. But again, all we can do is remain hopeful.
Indeed.
On a far less serious subject,
You're selling products online, I guess?
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about that.
Yeah, anyone can actually buy our mole starter through our website. It's ilovemole.com. We sell our mole paste online where you can, take our mole home and all you need to do is just add some chicken broth, tomato sauce, and you have a delicious mole in 10 minutes. We also import chocolate, Oaxacan chocolate. That's also very delicious. We also have a michelada mix that's called I Love Micheladas that you can also order to your house. Pour 4 ounces of that to your beer and have yourself a delicious, legit michelada.
What's a michelada?
It's a combination of lime juice, spices, chile, salt that are meant to enhance your drink, make it a little spicier, make it a little more acidic, and just adds a little bit of that spice and umami to your beer. Almost like, I don't want to say a Bloody Mary mix. This is not a Bloody Mary mix, but a lot of people think of it as that. It's the closest thing that I could refer it to.
And you have a cultural series titled I Love Micheladas?
Yes. Every month we have a huge event that happens in LA where we gather the community and we celebrate the I Love Micheladas lifestyle through music, dance, food. We have different vendors that come. It is a highlight of my month.
You've written how many books now?
2.
Don't you have a third one coming out?
We do have a third one coming up, but not anytime soon.
Oh, okay. That's why, yes, I've written a book. I know it. It'll be done. Yeah. These are cookbooks?
Yes, I've written 2 cookbooks.
I buy that cookbook. I'm making Oaxacan cuisine?
Pretty much.
What are the names of them?
My first book is called Oaxaca, and my second book is called Asada.
You've been involved in supporting woman-owned restaurants in Los Angeles.
Mm-hmm.
There's still, to a great extent, a gender-based glass ceiling in the restaurant industry. Is that changing?
I think so. I think that some of the most successful restaurants are probably run by women today. And if there is a male-forward chef, maybe there's always a woman involved that's making things happen in my experience. So yeah, I think things are changing.
What do you think about the state of the restaurant industry these days? Prices are up. It's a tough business to start with.
Mm-hmm.
We have seen a number of restaurants go out of business, some during the pandemic, others more recently.
Yeah.
How do you assess what's going on in the culinary world?
I can only speak of the restaurant industry in Los Angeles. I think my experience as a restaurant owner is very different than a restaurant owner in Texas. I think probably when I say 10%, probably in Texas, they're probably making more than 10% because their labor is very different in California or maybe a restaurant in a different state. I will say that if you are running a restaurant in Los Angeles, it feels like you're under attack. It feels like everyone wants you to fail. From sometimes your customers because they think you are charging too much, to your vendors because they're overcharging you because they're also can't figure out why limes have 4x the price or avocados or tomatoes. Then from your local officials who have done nothing for the city and the streets are not safe. So it just feels a little bit like nobody wants you to win and everybody wants to attack, yet everyone always asks for your help. The restaurants are the first people. Everyone's like, can you donate food for this? Can you do this for this? What are you doing for the community? And my response is, we've been here for the community since the day we opened. What are you all doing for us? So I think that's sort of the attitude I'm taking nowadays because I think that it's a pretty dire landscape here in Los Angeles as a restaurant, in the restaurant community, for sure.
What do you see going forward for the restaurant community and for specifically your restaurant?
I think that, like you said, a lot of restaurants are closing. A lot of people are leaving the industry, people who love the industry, but it's just really, really hard right now, especially with increased costs and very little there's little to no margins left, right? I don't want to say that I see it as where in the future all we're going to have are the Applebee's of the world and the Chipotles because these huge companies, they have systems. Their cost on chicken is very different than my cost on chicken, right? Their cost on even a straw is very different than my cost on a straw. Their cost and processes to make a guacamole is very different than if one family wanted to open a small burrito shop in the corner and just make really delicious burritos, right? It's just difficult. But it seems to me that today in California and in Los Angeles, if a family wanted to open a burrito stand, they probably have little shot at making it survive. They would have to charge maybe double what Chipotle is charging in order for them to survive, which I think, yes, you should do that and continue to do it. But then again, it's a huge imbalance happening in the industry today. I do see a lot of restaurants maybe cutting down on servers, right? Cutting down a lot of more automation. I think the restaurants that are doing very well, that are killing it, are a little more fast casual. I do think that opening a sit-down restaurant, tables turning, making that work, you're just going to have to fight a little harder these days than before.
You're protecting a legacy.
what do you see for your restaurant going forward?
I think that hopefully our restaurant isn't going anywhere. I think our restaurant represents a lot more than just food. And I am very happy to be at the front of it with my siblings and being able to continue to fight, not only for our culture, but for the industry as well.
Well, you've done a remarkable job.
Thank you.
More power to you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me.
Yeah.
It's been a real pleasure.
Thanks, David.
Bricia Lopez on Culinary Characters Unlocked. I'm David Page. I'll see you next time. And check out the Culinary Characters Unlocked Substack.